Rise, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, children of the Lord. That's what my mama used to sing every morning, getting up her six, chilling for school. But the song really goes, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory. Soldiers of the Lord. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Why? Because he woke us up this morning. He chose you and he chose me to rise. For that, we should give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, but most importantly, just the acknowledgement that he is. Only he could have opened up our eyes. Only he could give us the breath to breathe in his love and exhale his love. It's only he that created all things, everything, everyone. I'm so glad I was chosen to rise. But I was also chosen 33 plus years ago to be delivered from the devastating co-occurring disorders of mental illness and chemical dependency. Yes, I've been set free from recovery, emerge empowered, only to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. So now that I introduced and acknowledged my God, I'll introduce myself. My name is Edwina B. My last name is not important, aka Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. Why? Because if you see my previous podcast, I have my wig on, I have all this makeup on, I keep my dentures in till I'm ready to take them out. But when that spirit hits me, I snatch off the wig, wipe off the makeup, even take out these dentures and say, how you like me now? Hmm? Why? Because underneath that parkour, 33 plus years ago, on February the 22nd of 1990, getting high with my own stepson, doing all kind of sexual favors for him. Mm. When everything was said and done and over, he transformed into a violent person. I transformed into a person who feared for her life. After he administered the first punch, I jumped out the car. I started running. 3 o'clock in the morning, y'all. In the streets of Philadelphia, Mount Airy to be exact. I'm in Mount Airy right now. That's why I'm whispering, because I'm at my daughter's house in her basement. See, you are important to me. I don't care where I have to go live. I don't care. All I care is about is doing God's will. And that's showing up when I'm supposed to. Somebody asked me, was I committed? Am I consistent? Am I dedicated? Why? Because my creator is dedicated, committed, and consistent with me. While I was running from my stepson, got a flashback from the past, playing hide and seek. If I get under the bed, they can't find me. If I get under the bed, they can't hurt me. If I get under the bed, they can't do anything they want to do to me. So as I was running, I saw the slew of cars. I said, if I just get underneath one of those cars, he can't harm me. He can't take my life. I only weighed 90 pounds, dark circles around my eyes, hair all short and matted. I only had a few teeth in my mouth, face all sunken in. Yes, but underneath that parked car, my face literally was on the ground, underneath a parked car. The flashbacks continued. Edwina, you're 34. Why are you underneath a parked car? Class vice president, co-captain of the cheerleader team, ambitious of being a model, an actress, a phys ed teacher. Voted one to most likely to succeed, deemed the smartest of your parents' 6 kids. Children admired and respected you. Why are you underneath a parked car? The self-loathing that I had, the anguish, the hate, the remorse, the guilt, the shame, the humiliation. I am underneath a parked car, 3 o'clock in the morning. After a 14-year addiction. Yes, But this God that I didn't know, heard about, didn't know him personally, thought he was a punishing God, somewhere deep inside of me came out these words: whoever they say you are, whoever they say you are, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. That was my only knee bowing experience. And I confess with my tongue that he is. So, yes, I was chosen. Now I am obtaining my doctorate in biblical studies, only to learn more about the God who met me, delivered me, and prepared me from underneath that parked car to be sitting before you today. Got my master's in human services, wrote a thesis on EAP programs for the city of Wilmington, how people who are working can keep their jobs and not lose them because of co-occurring disorders. Yes, I am a transformational speaker, a spiritual consultant, and coach. I'm a walkway model. Yes, he gave me the desires of my heart after I allowed him and wanted him and needed him to make that transformation. I'm also in plays. I'm on stage. I do Horton. Hey, Mr. Postman, look at me. Hey, Mr. Postman, look and see. Is there a letter? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm in a Motown play. I've been on several plays. You see what happened when he met me underneath that parked car and he chose to let me live. My children, my son is a doctor of 15 years. My daughter has her own construction company, is a top management in the L&I department of the city of Philadelphia. Yes, the disease of addiction and mental illness is a family disease, but guess what? Recovery is a family restoration. Yes. And so why? Because he put me on a pathway to a 12-step spiritual program offering spiritual awakenings, experiences, transformations in order to achieve a psychic change. So you see, that's why with 33 plus years, one day at a time, as of February the 23rd of 2023, yes, we celebrated 33 years by being in a 12-step program within a 12-step fellowship, applying these 12 spiritual principles. Donald Lawrence says we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. Oh no, we are spiritual beings encased in walking this natural experience called life here on earth. So I want to invite you, and you. I'm already getting some invitations. Yes, thank you, Cordelia, and thank you, Keisha. Listen, if it's just one, that's okay. If I got one, my job is done for God. So April the 20th and or the 27th, join me so I can share with you my journey, what it included, what it entailed, the steps, the directions, the pathways, the opportunities, the services I want to give to you freely, what was given to me, so that you can continue or become totally transparent and authentic. Yes, authenticity is the key. Someone did it for me, and I want to do it for you, because when I heard her share her story, the way she shared it, how she shared it, what she felt when she did what she did, and she was talking in front of all these people. Oh my God, I said, God, if you keep me sober long enough, I want to be able to share just like her. She freed me and set me on a pathway to continued spiritual recovery because God chose me, as cuckoo for Cocoa Pops as I am. I love me. I love being me because I know who I am and whose I am, okay? So join me on April the 20th and the 27th for my orientation of the journey to transparency and authenticity. You don't want to miss it, okay? All right, spread the word. Okay, now I also want to take this time to, oh, I did forget to tell you, that I also have a TV talk show that's 32 plus years, and it's called Choosing a New Way of Life. Yes, and I also wrote a book, right? As it was written, it is my journal entries for 4 years in my early recovery. And so now I have a reference book to go back to. I had no idea God was going to publish it because everything is in there, if you know what I mean, right? But it helped me to talk about what I was going through mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, right? So that I don't go back underneath that parked car. Hell no. And not knowing what the future was holding, but it had to be a lot better than what I left. And so it taught me how to be um, in the present, right here, right now. So you see, the journey to my transparency and authenticity has paved the way for a lot of spiritual growth, not just for me, but for other people, even if it's just one. Okay, that's all I wanted to add. All right, so now I want to share a shout out to my namesake, Shyla Edwina Jessie Dockery. Yes, her sweet 16th birthday is today. Yes, 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 yes. My shy, Shyla Edwina Jessie Dockery. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Shyla, Grandma, love you. Love you, love you, love you. Okay, now I get back to my assignment. All right. Happy birthday, Shyla. All right, so let's get to the topic for today. All right, y'all know that I will be sharing my perspective from the Alcoholics Anonymous Daily Reflections. I don't represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but I've been a proud, humble, and grateful member for over 33 years, one day at a time. Mhm. I will be incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family. Not ran, it was divinely introduced to me a few months ago, right? At the same agency, I wrote the EAP manual, right? And now the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja of P3 University, with those three wisdom and pathways and knowledge. I'm on fire, but I don't represent any of them. But I do represent the God who met me underneath that parked car and paved the way for me to be prepared for all things yet to come. And he knows I'm ready. And I'll be as transparent and as authentic as I possibly can. You know why? I'm not intimidated by no man. Oh, no, 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 no. Hell to the no. I'm not giving anything or anybody that much power ever again to make me go back underneath that car. And so, with the transformation that spiritual in nature, I achieved a psychic change. Which brings me to our topic today, growing up, from the AA Daily Reflections. Open up your spiritual ears, open up your spiritual eyes, take a drink, coffee for me, and let's dissect this baby. Okay, all right, so it says here, let me put it on the screen and move this out the way, okay? April the 10th. The essence of all growth is willingness to change for the better, and then an unremitting willingness to shoulder whatever responsibility this entails. And this comes from, as Bill sees it, page 115. The person in recovery shares his perspective. Sometimes when I've become willing to do what I should have been doing all along, I want praise and recognition. I don't realize that the more I'm willing to act differently, the more exciting my life is. The more I am willing to help others, the more rewards I receive. That's what practicing the principles means to me. Fun and benefits for me are in the willingness to do the action, not to get immediate results. Being a little kinder, a little slower to anger, a little more loving makes my life better day by day. Ooh, you ready to dissect this bad boy? Okay, growing up. You know, I always start with the title, and I'm always looking for the intent of the author and why he selected that particular title for this particular quote off of page 115 as Bill sees it. He's one of our co-founders. And so growing up, so here is a white, educated, rich, intelligent man who was a drunk, couldn't stay sober. And for whatever reason that God had, he used him. And I thank God he did. And so here you have this gentleman, right? New York stockbroker, a creative writer, and all that kind of stuff, but he couldn't stay sober, right? And so it wasn't until the other gentlemen in his life, Ebby, Dr. Bob, and Roland, that these individuals were educated white rich men, right? But they were all drunks. And so God in his infinite wisdom, right, brought them all together, right, for this special assignment that they didn't have any idea what was about. All they knew was they wanted to stay sober, and they could do it if they helped one another. They recognized that religion and the medical field could not help them, and what they needed was divine intervention, as stated by Dr. Carl Jung. So at the end, and even during their process, right, progression into recovery, right, they were growing up, huh? I'm not talking about growing up from 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm talking about growing up in your spiritual development. Yes, growing up from the old ideas, attitudes, and behaviors and belief systems that were formulated way back. That's why the Ruiz family calls that domestication. In the 4-step inventory, we go back and find out what happened to us. There's nothing wrong with us. Something happened to us that helps us to grow up, while we are now a little bit more mature to understand. See, God is on sacred time. Man is on secular time. It's never too late to grow up. As a matter of fact, we keep growing up until the day he calls our spirit home and does something else with it, and he places our body someplace, whatever. You know, when we apply spiritual principles to all earthly matters, ooh, we will have peace, joy, happiness, serenity, tranquility, and most of all, we will be happy. The serenity prayer says it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And because we are among other human beings, God, grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that that person is me. Thank God for the 12 spiritual principles that any and everybody could use. Our literature says, and it is true, all human beings are ill to some extent. All human beings need to continue to grow up. All right, so let's dissect this, baby. I got 12 minutes. All right, so let's see. Okay, here he says, the essence of all growth is a willingness to change for the better. Let's stop there. Huh? The essence of all growth is the willingness, right, to change for the better, right? How many times you hear people, I'm old, I'm stuck in my ways, so forth and so on. It's too late for me. Okay, then guess what? That's what domestication looks like. You need to be, as they suggest, right? Be impeccable with your word. No, I'm not too old. It's never too late. I can do this. I'm going to do this, right? Don't take anything personally. I don't care what my mother said. I don't care what them said. I know I can. I know I will. And guess what? I want to. Yes, I'm not taking anything personally. Practice, okay? All right. And then the third agreement is don't make any assumptions. Oh my God. No. I'm going to start. I'm not going to assume that I'm going to fail. I'm not going to assume this. No. Don't make any assumptions. And when I apply the first 3 agreements, the fourth one says always do your best. Growing up, always do your best. It's never too late. And then the fifth one, be skeptical, but learn to listen. Even the negativity that you're telling yourself, right? Why should we listen to the negativity that we heard from ourselves and other people? Learn to listen and see what spirit is occupying this vessel, okay? All right. And so, right, that means that we have to have the willingness. The essence of all growth is a willingness to change, and then an unremitting willingness to shoulder whatever responsibility this entails. Okay, so guess what? If nothing changes, nothing changes. Okay, y'all heard that, right? And so if I see through my journey, right, going back in my history, identifying my patterns, my triggers, my shortcomings, my character defects, all of that was based on information that that's where I was at the time. That's what I was thinking. That's what I did. So now I can't unchange it, right? Right. But I can go back and evaluate it, assess it, and see where I need to change. And now that I'm older, I can apply the responsibility that's needed for that change and whatever it entails. Yes. Okay. All right. I got 9 minutes. All right. So let's talk about what the person in recovery shares. He says, sometimes when I have become willing to do what I should have been doing all along, I want praise and recognition. That is so true. That is so true. That is so true. What it's saying here, right? When sometimes when I'm becoming willing to do what I should have been doing all along, right? You know what that means, right? Hmm? Yeah. Our parents taught us to make up our beds, right? To brush our teeth and stuff like that, right? So why should I want praise because I did that when I should have been doing it all along? Hmm. Why should I want praise when my mother or my dad asked me to do some chores, right? That's where I learned conditional love, right? Because I remember my dad saying, well, if you do this, I give you this. My mom said, if you do this, I give you this. The man next door said, if you do this, I do this, right? So it was always conditional. Yes, it was always conditional. So that was my mindset. And that's why I became a prostitute way before I became an alcoholic and drug addict. Yeah, you want this? Because I seen it. Yes. And so now that we are older, right? And so why did I need to get praise or be rewarded for something I should have been doing all along? Okay. All right. And that's where we see domestication in its real form, right? Punishment and rewards. That's the whole essence, right? And so when we learn to be free from recovery, emerge empowered, right? To help others, right? Prosper equally. Okay. So let's go on to see what he says. I got about 7 more minutes. Right. Then he says, right, I don't realize that the more I'm willing to act differently, the more exciting my life is. I don't realize that the more I'm willing to act differently. Now, we're talking about in a positive, constructive way because we know what it's like to do things that are not conducive to our spiritual growth. It may be conducive for our flesh. No, but that's not the way. That's not it. So if I want to continue on this spiritual journey, I have to learn, assess, dissect, evaluate, conduct surgery on those character defects, those emotions that led me to drinking, and that's why I take off those masks. That's why I've learned to take off the mask. Underneath that parked car, I didn't have no mask on. That was the real me at that time. So I learned to find out what mask I was, right, concealing within me that needed to be revealed in order for me to heal. And once I found that out, I began to act differently because the spirits are different. One is of a spiritual nature, and the others are for the flesh. I ask myself a lot of times during the day, Edwina, is what you thinking, what you want to do, is what you want to say. Is it going to feed the flesh, or is it going to feed the spirit? And guess what, honey? Sometimes I ignore, and sometimes I yield. And so it's a growing process, and I enjoy every second of becoming me, becoming free. The awareness is what we're talking about, being aware and then acting accordingly. All right, so let's go here. And then he says, whew, that's what practicing the principle means to me, right? So wait a minute. And then it says, the more I'm willing to help others, the more rewards I receive. Now, we're not talking about materialistic rewards. The more I keep helping people, I'm helping myself. I'm doing what my God had saved me and prepared me to do, to help others. So the reward is that I'm doing God's will and not my will. So the more I help people unconditionally, the more rewards I get from my Creator. And it doesn't have to be in the forms that I think, right? The fact that I have passion, I'm fulfilling my purpose. I am on the road to my destiny, to stay sober, which I am, and to help another alcoholic achieve sobriety. But it doesn't stop with that. All of us are ill to some extent, and all of us can use the 12 spiritual principles of life. How about that? Okay. I got 4 minutes, and I'm going to a meeting up here in Glenside, so I got to get going. Okay. It says here, practicing these principles, what that means to me, right? Fun and benefits for me are in the willingness to do the action, not to get immediate results. And so, because recovery is a process, just like our disease of alcoholism is progressive. And guess what? Recovery is progressive, right? I talked to a gentleman yesterday, right? And, our goal is prevention, intervention, and restoration. And so he asked me, well, which one you think is the most, important? And I said prevention, right? But really, in all essence, they all work together. So you have, people that you want to prevent from becoming alcoholic, drug addicts, and dealing with the issues or the ills of the world through domestication. Then you have those who are currently, particularly our youth, right? Intervention is needed. And then you have restoration, family restoration, human restoration. It all works together in a holistic approach. Yes, if you're working on the prevention, you're working on the intervention, you're working on restoration, we all come together and we bridge the gap. Yes, okay? All right, so now by applying these 12 spiritual principles one day at a time, practicing them, right? When we apply spiritual principles to all earthly matters, oh my God, I'm in love with recovery. I've never been committed to nothing for 33 plus years. Are you kidding me? The more I get, the more I want. And so that's why with the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja. Ooh, listen. Y'all need to know, okay? All right, so the last thing I want to share is that being a little kinder, a little slower to anger, a little more loving makes my life better day by day. I'm telling y'all, you know, as I go through my day, I am aware, and I try to be aware of every present moment. Why? Because life on life terms, whenever life deals us different cards, right? So we don't know what we're going to be presented with any time of the day, right? And so, but because of these spiritual principles, we have an opportunity, the awareness to respond rather than to react. And it takes practice. Guess what? I didn't become an alcoholic, drug addict, prostitute overnight. No, I did not. Yes, yes. My life changed when I had that abortion as a prostitute. I believe I committed murder. And I thought whatever happens to me, I deserve. The rapes, the beat ups, the setup, robbing dead bodies, stepping over dead bodies, what? Huh? So today, and for the last 33 plus years, I've been working on being a little kinder, right? Being slower to anger, right? Loving people more, because they are just like me. They are ill to some extent. And that's why when I apply the 12 spiritual principles, the 5 agreements, and the transformational teachings, yes, I can do what this last statement says, which is, right? It says here, right? A little more loving makes my life better day by day. I'm telling you, y'all, it's just amazing. I get up in the morning and I say my prayers and I do my meditation and I'm off to my meeting because, listen, that's my spiritual appointment with my spiritual doctor and my spiritual fellowship. So guess what? If it's God's will that we are joined tomorrow, hopefully I'll be back in Delaware. But guess what? When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But most importantly, when the spiritual student is ready, the spiritual teachers will appear so that you can be a change agent to change the world, as Don Miguel Ruiz says. Help me make the world a better place. Be blessed.